SQ Merchant Services. My tagline is, I help businesses accept credit cards, form of payment, as well as ATM. So what does that mean? I'm going to tell stories. I love telling stories. And I don't like to say no. I'm in essence a broker. So someone will come to me and they'll say, this is my need, and I create a solution. So they'll say, well, I need to be a part of this particular software, or I need to be a part of this particular back end of a point of sale, or what have you. I try really hard to say no. The only time I really say no is if it's contractual, it's a franchise agreement, or their early termination is so expensive I can't help buy them out. So, true stories. These are actual clients of mine. So this is a medical office. It's not a medical office, that's a Visa machine, but that's a medical office. They have 5 clinicians in their office. They specifically wanted to have a Wi-Fi based terminal that they can carry from office to office to office, but there's 5 businesses in the same building. I was able to handle that. Forget the little part up, sorry, I forgot about that part. But the story behind this is it was a nonprofit. It is in my experience in the 10 years I've been in this industry that the highest net effectives that I see against nonprofits are the big box banks. Sorry if I'm saying that out of the way, that's just the merchant service side. I have got one as high as almost 8% of net effective. Now, if you know about me, I mean, if you're processing $40,000 a month, that's a lot of fees. So they came to me and said, what can you do? So I was able to help them. It was a nonprofit here locally. ATMs and banks. So I have mentioned it once in a while that when you, if you go to an ATM, you swipe it in and out real quick. That is what they call not EMV compliant. Back in October of last year, Visa and MasterCard mandated that you had to have an EMV chip-enabled ATM where you push it in, it locks, you have to put in your PIN, you finish transaction, then it releases the card. If it does not do that, the criminal mind loves those. You know why? They can go in, they can pull out as much money as they want, call the processor and say, I never got my money. And guess what? They would win. And guess what would also happen? The merchant would be out that money. So if they were able to pull out, say $1,000, not only would the merchant lose $1,000, they would lose it times 2 plus the fees. So that's a good referral for me. Existing client, Hillsborough Farmers Market. They came to me and said, can you handle credit cards out in the field wirelessly? Yes. Can you add EBT to it, snap cards? Yes. Can you also be able to do rental space for all the spaces for pay them to charge them for each particular session? Yes. So this Hillsborough Farmer Market actually has 3 different accounts to be able to handle 3 different things. It's actually one of my most complex clients, but they're awesome. I'm mobile. You ever heard that before? So I joke about this, but who works here like in a warehouse for the past? You've heard the term roach coach? Okay. Well, that's a nice way of saying they're mobile, they have food. Now in technology today, people use Square, but there's so much more advanced technology out there now. I mean, I can put a swiper or EMV technology on your phone. We can actually now have a little point of sale that's either can be Wi-Fi based off a hotspot or GPRS, where you can actually put in all the different inputs of the things that you want. I have a kiosk in Wisconsin, a barbecue truck. She got me off of my website, so she's one of my favorites. She's really fun. One day we'll ever get to Wisconsin, we'll have a barbecue. Aha. So I can actually say this now. Jesse, this is part of your story, right here. So Jesse referred somebody to me and it was a roofing contractor. They were on QuickBooks. They were on QuickBooks for 20 years. And they said that the new QuickBooks 2018 was going to be too expensive for them, so they were looking for other solutions. Jesse was kind enough to refer them to me, and they called me and said, we want to know if we need a Visa machine that I charge $189 for, by the way, and they're going to lease me the piece of equipment at the end of the day for the same piece of equipment. Do you think that'll work for me? I said, does anyone ever show up? No. Okay. No, it's not going to be good for you. No. So we did the exact same program. We will run transactions online, and I was able to download the transactions back in QuickBooks. They're the same program that they already have. Auto repair facility. Now, I have to admit, this is not an existing client. It was from a previous company, but they're in downtown Tigard. They wanted to be able to add government cards to be able to work on them. But the only way they can do that is if you have Voyager Red Express, because those are those corporate cards that they run around with, and they have particular coding on it. And the only way that client could be able to accept USPS and all the different type of government cards, they would be able to accept Voyager Red Express. So they came to me and said, can you handle that? Yes, I can. But yeah. So last year, I was approached by Best Western, which is also another hotel down in Seaside, Oregon. And they said, we heard that you do good things. Can you get into the back end of hotel POS? Now, this is back to that software thing that I was telling you about. So I do my homework, see if I make sure I get into it. One of my platforms, First Data, can do it. So I'm here in probably about 3 weeks. I'll be signing up 2 hotels down in the Seaside area. This one's for me, one of them. This is where it's fun. So Authorize.net, they're the juggernauts in the industry. You have PayPal, which is proprietary software to be able to run credit cards. Authorize.net went to the opposite end. They became the back end of basically almost everything. So come to me and say, well, I have this particular Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever. I will look up, make sure that I can handle the back end of it through Authorize.net, and I'll be able to take care of you. So if anyone has an e-commerce website and are looking to be able to accept cards through e-commerce, just tell me what it is. Typically, it's going to be WordPress or Commerce, Wix, but there's about 1,000 others. I can handle attorneys. No, that was fun, I guess. So typically attorneys, you have a trust account, right? So the money goes in and it can't be touched, right? And then you have another account where the money comes out. So that trust account never can be touched. So I have the ability to be able to have funds go into a trust account and have another checking account have the fees come out to make them compliant. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this one real quick, and I'm going to skip over the last one. So Square, this is the one that I wanted to touch on the most. No matter what, I'm cheaper in Square, period. Even if you start from ground zero, I might be not as expensive as Square. I mean, I'm less expensive than Square, but not by much. But you get me. You actually get to talk to somebody. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to get a hold of Square before, but you can. Once you hit about $1,200, $1,500 a month, that's my break-even point where I can flip it to actually a better program for you. Because quite candidly, it's too expensive. So at $1,200, $1,500 a month, I'm cheaper no matter what again. And the further away you get from $1,500 a month, the more the savings is. I have a client that's processing $100,000 a month, 3-location restaurant. I'm going to save them about $1,500 a month in fees. I don't know if you want that or not. Yes, I do. CBD, all that stuff. Ideal clients, referral partners. I'm actually looking for a credit union, local bank, 1-to-5 location, or a contractual relationship, where they actually hand me the merchant services. These are the type of businesses that I'm looking for to be able to work with. I really appreciate your time. I think everything that you guys have done for this, my little editing company, and I look forward to a long-standing relationship with everybody. Thank you.